And Essence Publishing is a company that will publish your book. And so you can request free information and you'll get this kit. But I always say those that show up, go up, so you all get it without having to go to the website. And really, by really being a part of Essence Publishing Group, you get a discount if you mention Pam Perry. Okay. So with that, I'm going to pass this out. Darren McGill. All right. So it says, so you want to publish a book? They give you cover design, which is really key when you're publishing a book. And they also give you an author's guide. All right? So the author's guide, step by step, everything that you need. Anybody got questions on how to publish a book? It's in here, all the answers. Give you the cost and everything. If you have so many copies, how much that will cost, all of that, and cover design. Which, I'll give you this all today. Which then brings me to the other thing about cover design. I brought some things, covers for you all to look at, and I'm going to go over that real quick. But let me take a quick publishing assessment with you all. How many have at least $2,500 to $5,000 to invest in the book project? Okay. All right. Is your topic marketable? All right. Do you regularly support other author events, book signings, and lectures? Yes. You all show up here, so you know that. And so do you frequently visit bookstores and know what the trends are in the Christian book and know the bestsellers? Yeah. Things like maybe looking at, Yolanda Adams has a new book and that's what the trends. All right, and that's really important. The other thing, do you have a website, blog, or plan to get one to sell or market your book? That's really key. You publish articles or you regularly speak, which I know you do, and lecture, therefore have an audience for your book. Okay, because you can't sell a book if you don't have an audience. All right? Don't wait till your book is off the printer and say, oh, okay, let me go find somebody to buy this book. You laugh, but that happens. You've read and researched books and magazines or go to writers' conferences or part of a writers' group, which I'll do a plug for the Anointed Pen. If you're not familiar with the Anointed Pen, anointedpen.eventbrite.com, they have a conference coming up in March. All right, it's only $20.10, 2010. Get that? And so VenusMasonTheus.com, you can go get more information there. You know a good graphic designer, editor, and webmaster, or at least know where to find one. Okay, because if you don't, you got to get that. Just because you know the graphics program on your computer, don't make you feel right. I'm going to go into that a little bit. You have a written marketing plan, all right, and I know you did. And you know how you're going to sell the book before you've written it. And that is probably so key because I know a lot of us as Christian writers, God inspired me to write this book, and I'm going to write this book. I'm going to get, praying fast and stay in front of the computer and write this book. But write the marketing plan first. Write the vision and make it plain because at that point you know how you're going to sell it once it is written. Writing a written marketing plan. Just like it's like a book is a business. So think about if you were going to open up a shoe store. You wouldn't just open up the store and then all of a sudden say, well, you know what, let me figure out how I'm going to market the shoe store. The same thing with the book. I have found that most people fail because they have not written a marketing plan for their book. It's a business. When you start a book, when you have finished the book, it's like you just open up a new business. So how many people went to college? Had some business courses, and they always talk about a business plan. It's the same thing, a book marketing plan. That's the same thing. I'm sure you all have heard that. And then you have at least 10 hours a week to promote your book. How many have a book and spend at least 10 hours or more? I know you spend I know you probably spend more than 10. You spend more than 10, Venus? No. Yeah. So when you finish the book, know that you got to cut out some time for at least 10 hours a week to promote that book. At least. That's not a given. It doesn't even matter if you hire a publicist. You're still going to need 10 hours. So if you don't have 10 hours, don't do the book because it's not going to work. You can still do the book, but it's not going to work. I'm just saying if you're ready for success in book publishing. And then the last part, you are part of a writer's discussion group or you blog regularly or you come to meetings, which you all do. That's the basic assessment. And if you kind of know, basically yes and no where you fall in that, you know where you need to work. Maybe you need to go back to number one. You need $2,500 to $5,000. Okay, well, I need to bake some cookies or sell some cookies or something to get $2,500 to $5,000 for this book. Because don't, count the cost first. And it is that. Because there's nothing worse than to be in the middle of building something and trying to do something and you don't have the money. It's just frustrating. So the more money you have, the more success you have. Just like anything, the more money you put into something, the more you have. So with that, I'm going to go over some covers really quick. I'll start with this pile over here. This is a before book of why this person, the prodigal son. Great story. It's about a pastor here in Detroit locally, and really he was a prodigal son. He grew up, his father was a bishop, and then he kind of went away, started selling drugs or whatever, and then he came back and now he's a pastor. Now, if you saw that in the bookstore, and you saw maybe this in the bookstore, which one was more polished? Okay? So I told him, great story. So I told him, I said, you know what? We're going to have you redo this book. So this is what the new cover looks like. See the difference? Big. And then we also gave it a subtitle, Prodigal Son, From Dope Dealer to Hope Dealer, A True Story of Redemption, Restoration, and Forgiveness. Subtitles are very important because that's what's in it for me in the book. Prodigal Son doesn't mean anything other than to people in the church. And you think it was a Bible story about the prodigal son. So that's one of the things. Now this one is going to the next dimension. Again, looks like it's homemade, doesn't it? You got on the computer, start working with that font program, you know what I'm talking about? And it looks kind of like, okay, does it look like a book I would pick up in the bookstore? Does it look like something like this that I would pick up in the bookstore? So then, Bob Ivory, who designed these covers, from Ivory Coast Communications, want to give Bob a plug, ivorycoastcommunications.com, he did this. See the difference? Going to the next level. You can visually see it. It's the actual person, and it gives you a better understanding of what this book is. If you were going to go to the airport and you were riding on the airplane, would you want to be caught reading that book? All right? Now this is the other one. I think I probably I talked about this one before, and I had her redo this cover. The Epidemic of Singleness, with the word sin in here, and then the flames. Nobody likes to read books with flames. Nobody likes to be reminded that they may go to hell by some bad decisions. So we kind of did this one because we got the idea of what she was really talking about. Sin. Adam, Eve, sin, apple, that kind of thing. A little bit better. Not as...
I'm trying to figure out what's that little black thing in the middle.
Oh, that's a wedding ring.
Oh.
And you have in glass.
Oh, it don't look like it.
Yeah. Yeah. So the thing is, you've got to have your book in the first 5 seconds to really grab someone's attention. Because they're not going to try and figure it out. And if you've got to explain your cover to someone, you need a new cover. All right? If you got to say, well, this is the glass. They got to break the glass so if they don't, they get in the fire. This is another one. Become who you were born to be. Now, all these books are really good, the content. But you've got to get past the cover to get to the content. All right? This one here. Again, great story. We redid this one. It says, become who you were born to be. Finally say goodbye to the wounded child inside. And it basically just, becoming, butterflies become. You use symmetry. But see, all of this, though, you guys, you can't do it yourself. Just because you have a program or you have a cousin that said they're doing on a computer, you don't do it yourself. These are serious people that are spent money printing this book and then thought this was a good cover. Who will buy this book in the bookstore when you have a cover like this that you're maybe competing against, or a cover like that, or like this one here, King Designer for the King. Very nice cover. Obviously, the book is about design. So you go in here and you look.